Welcome back. We now turn our focus to election matters. Last night, the Electoral Commission of Namibia announced that the production process for the ballot papers for the November 2024 Presidential and National Assembly elections has been successfully completed. The process includes verification, binding, packaging, and sign-off by the authorized representatives of the presidential candidates and members of the participating political parties. Now, to shed more light on this and some latest developments, we're joined by Dr. Marius Kudumo, a prominent political analyst. Doctor, good evening and welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, Doctor, as I'm sure you've been keeping abreast with, current affairs, and you have seen, of course, the supposed controversial or controversy that's come about with the Electoral Commission of Namibia selecting Rainform CC to, complete this process of binding, packaging the ballot papers that we will be using in the November 2024 elections. It didn't come without, of course, contest and negativity from certain parties, maybe concerns, I should rather say. But to start with, do you think that the political parties do have credible concern over this arrangement with Rainform CC?
Thank you very much. It's difficult to speak with authority because I'm speaking from an outsider perspective. But what we have had thus far is the allegation of linking the company to some issues in the elections in Zimbabwe. But obviously, it's an obligation of every citizen, including the political parties, to ensure that our elections are democratic, free, fair, transparent, and credible. Mm-hmm. If there's any concern, that concern need to be raised. But the contradiction that we have seen is that the parties are condemning the selection of this specific company, mm-hmm. but at the same time, the majority of them join the trap to go and observe, and many of them are somehow suggesting mm-hmm. that this is a credible company. Mm-hmm. But obviously, the point is just we have to make sure that everything that we are doing is above board.
Yeah. Indeed, the majority did go on this trip with the ECN to oversee the binding packaging of the ballot papers, etc. Some political parties opted not to participate. Do you think this was a wise decision on their end?
Yeah, I think that is a contradiction that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. It should have been a matter of principle. But what we are hearing from the ECN is all the political parties have signed.
That's right.
So meaning they are accepting.
What do you make of that?
I think it's making us aware of certain concerns, but at the same time, they are not sure which approach to take. Mm-hmm. But I think what is important for us is people have the right to express themselves. People have the right to demonstrate, but there must be legitimate reasons for that. But obviously, the ECN, I hope, are learning lessons from that, because we must be learning organization. We must have learning organizations. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And Dr. Kudumo, how do you assess, the ECN's response to these allegations?
Personally, I think the matter was not properly handled.
Right.
Especially the communication aspect thereof. Mm-hmm. Remember that the ECN had a calendar of activities, an electoral calendar. And the printing of the ballot papers is one of those activities. Mm-hmm. The challenge that is there is they opted for inviting bidders to bid. Then in the process, they opted to have a preferred supplier, meaning you are already creating unnecessary suspicions unless you explain yourself properly, right, why you are opting for a certain decision. And I think there are grounds why they opted for a preferred supplier, mm-hmm. but they have not explained it adequately and convincingly to the public. And in a political situation, you have opportunism in the process and people take advantage of that. I think they have not explained it properly, including the allegation is the company that have been selected is alleged to have been involved in corrupt activities previously.
Right.
And the response of the ECN is, no, they have been printing ballots over 70 countries in Africa. Please give us those examples of those countries and explain to us why you have opted for this. So I don't think they have managed the communication aspect thereof properly to disapprove the claim that have been made.
And how do you think this lack of direct communication then affects the integrity of the Electoral Commission of Namibia?
I don't think that it will affect it. It's just a matter of learning lessons and ensuring that they are proper communication. The political parties are one of the key stakeholders, and what we are reading from the media is there have been constant consultations and communication and engagements with the political party. If that is true, then there must not be any activity that is a surprise. So obviously, there are concerns that have been expressed, but the issue is, have this consent not been discussed? For example, the option of a preferred supplier instead of an open bidding. Was this issue not discussed with the political parties, and was there no agreement why they should be the case? Because I think there are valid reasons why they opted for that.
100%. You know that Rainform CC actually did respond in length through a letter that came from their legal representation. They actually threatened to take legal action against certain media houses should they not deviate from this current narrative that they're publishing. What do you make of this, Doctor?
I mean, we are an open society. An open society is a society that is open for debate, as long as the debate is respectful and consider the views of others. The issue is there are allegations that they have been linked to corrupt practices or increasing the prices. They must just come up and explain it, that this is not factually correct, these are the facts. But trying to intimidate and threaten is not helpful in a democratic society, especially a constitutional democracy, where divergent views are important in terms of policy making, also in making good decisions. I don't think that it was a good move. They should have just came out and explained the reputation, the credibility of the company that they might have. But to threaten, then obviously you are creating an opportunity for people to interpret what is it that you are hiding.
Well, the process, as we've mentioned, is done and dusted now. Does it serve the ECN any justice to now communicate thoroughly, whether they explain to us the criteria that was chosen, why they've went this route, who they involved in the decision-making process? Is it necessary at this juncture?
I think it is necessary. Continuous communication is important, not only with the political parties, but also with the citizens. The reason for that is when elections are declared, it is the citizens that must say, these are democratic, free, fair, transparent, and credible elections. Not the elected observers. The citizens must say that. And for the citizens to say that, the whole process, not only voting, the whole process must be seen to be transparent. I think they need to enhance their communication about all the matters, not only about voting, but all this process, because I think they can explain it, but they have not explained it adequately for someone who is not inside to understand why they are doing it. So my view is they must continue to explain, including these issues, so that everyone is convinced, not only the ECN, the political parties that went to South Africa. I hope we are going to ask them, and they need to explain, because they must give us that guarantee and that assurance that everything is above board, and therefore we are expecting credible elections.
Yeah. Can you take us through the process, Dr. Kudumo, once the ballot papers have landed in the country in terms of security? What happens?
I think the security will take charge, and I think there are some processes in which the political parties can also guarantee that they are not tampered with. But obviously, I think the security agencies will be taking charge so that they are no suspicious, there are no problems. And I think the issue is just we can't take elections for granted, electoral management, because we are seeing what is happening in other countries, hence the importance of everything being above board.
Yesterday, we carried a story of a lady in the Zambezi who says that she's not made up her mind yet on who to vote on, and she's attending all the rallies so that she makes an informed decision. And you mentioned earlier that the responsibility that the political parties also have in being transparent, etc. Do you think that's a good strategy to use for those that are still undecided as to who to vote for?
Yeah, look, elections are about choices. And when we are making our choices, these are informed choices. That's on the basis of what we are being promised. And obviously, you need to know that there are many people there who might not have a political party. And that's where the political parties must focus on. So we have entered what we call convincing politics. You don't assume people will just wake up and go and vote, including myself. You need to convince me why I should vote for you. And also, voting is not an end in itself. There are expectations that the material condition of the people will improve. So that lady is saying, I have been voting, things seems not to be changing. Why must I trust you that it will change now? And it's where the political parties must sell and not take the voters for granted. They have their own experiences, they have their knowledge. Tell them concretely what is that you are going to do about their situation.
Just lastly, Dr. Kudumo, what's your general assessment of the campaign so far? Are there any reasons to be concerned about when it comes to ensuring that the campaigns remain free and fair?
I don't have serious concerns. My issue is just whether everyone will be motivated to wake up and go and vote. And we cannot judge that on the basis of attendance of rallies. You have seen it in South Africa. The ANC, the EFF was competing who can fill up the stadium. And after filling up the stadium, these people did not go and vote. Therefore, political parties must really not only hope that they have finished with the campaigns, but they must convince us that we have to get up and go and vote. But obviously, you don't want citizens not to go and vote, because citizens have rights and obligations and responsibilities.
Right.
My wish is that many people turn up. There are many choices. We are spoiled for choices. Let them vote for whom they think is capable of resolving their challenges and problems.
Dr. Kudumo, it's always a pleasure having you with us. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back after this brief break. The Daily Roundup continues. Stay with us.